My warrant to investigate here is about to expire.
So you thought you'd drop by and give me the good news in person? Is that it? Don't let the door hit you on your way out.
Yeah. I'm leaving. But I ain't done with you. I will see you pay for what you did to my sister. It's a promise. See you around, Sonny.
Wait. I'm gonna tell you what happened to your sister. Then you can get on your white horse and you can ride out of town and leave me alone.
If you want to start by telling that same old story you told in New Jersey, don't waste your breath.
Okay, I'm giving you a chance to know how your sister died. Or you can walk. That's your call.
I'm still there.
You gotta understand, I was a kid when this happened.
Don't start by making excuses, son.
Okay, you're gonna hear it my way, McBain, or you can get the hell out of my house. I was working for vs.Scully when I was still in high school. A runner mostly, but he thought I had potential. I hadn't fully committed to Scully or his business because I was seeing Kate. We had plans. She was supposed to go to college, Princeton, and I had a legit job in Trenton. We were gonna leave Brooklyn and start a whole new life together. He never showed up, never really said why. I guess I didn't fit into her future plans. I would have done anything for her. So I waited all night, heart in my hands. Joe Scully drives by, puts two and two together, and he looks at me and he says, "You're better off, kid." And he offered me a job, an opportunity to advance. I took it. Nothing to lose.
This is all very touching. How about we fast forward to the part where you killed my sister?
There are moments that change your life. Connie leaving me on that street corner was one of them.
Still haven't heard how this connects to Teresa.
Joe Scully had a son, Joe Jr. He was a screw-up and a bully, running his mouth, always getting himself in trouble, assuming his father was going to clean it up. That became my job after a while, cleaning up after Joe Jr. Well, eventually, he started to interfere with the business, so his father got him out of Brooklyn, set him up in a place in this club in Atlantic City called the Seabreeze.
Yeah. That's where Teresa worked.
Well, it turns out, you know, Joe wasn't any good at running clubs like he wasn't any good at anything else because, you know, he got distracted by the girls and the high rollers, and he started spending more money than he was taking in, and the associates started to complain. So, Scully sent me in there to run things. That's where I met Teresa. She was one of the girls dancing at the club.
You know... Do you know she was underage?
Joe Jr. hired everybody. It wasn't, you know... Everybody had IDs. That wasn't
IDs.
Okay, my job was to go there and make sure that the club ran smoothly, that everybody was happy. I wasn't the guidance counselor. I didn't get paid for that.
I bet. Last time I talked to her, she told me she was scared.
Teresa was way in over her head.
Whose fault was that?
You're her brother.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I screwed up. Spent the first 10 years of my life not even knowing she existed. Next dozen years trying to track her down.
Well, you got a lot of guilt for that, so instead of blaming me, maybe you should blame yourself.
Maybe. She told me she couldn't leave the club because her boss would kill her. And I told her that I could protect her.
You were wrong.
You know what really sticks with me? After all this time, that image of you kneeling over her body with the gun in your hand.
And you jumped to the wrong conclusion. I didn't kill your sister. I was trying to help her. Joe Jr. was a pig. He was going through all the women at the club. He was after your sister. She wanted her job, but she was not interested. So she came to me to help her.
She came to you for protection.
I did everything I could, but Joe Jr. got the wrong impression. He thought that I wanted Teresa for myself.
Did you?
She was dealing with so much, I wasn't going to take advantage of that.
That's very noble of you.
Joe Jr. didn't have the guts to deal with me, so he would take it out on Teresa. One night, after the show, he took her in a room, and he cornered her, and I heard her yelling. So I ran in the room, and he had her by the hair. And I said, "Joe, let her go." But he was out of control. And he shot her. Right in front of me. He dropped the gun, panicked, and he ran away like the coward he is. That's exactly what happened, McBain. I swear to you, on my children's lives. When you arrested me for Teresa's murder, I kept my mouth shut.
Why? You said you wanted to help my sister, but you protected her killer.
In my line of work, you talk to cops, you don't live very long. Plus, it was the boss's son.
So Scully, he paid off the AC cops.
He didn't want Joe Jr. involved, not just as a father, but he was bad for business, so he told me to keep my mouth shut, and he'd make it go away.
You got the judge to dismiss the case?
Scully has a lot of people in his pocket.
So according to you, Teresa was just collateral damage because Scully wanted to protect his son. And all you did was let him get away with it.
I'm in a different business than yours, Lieutenant. It has different rules.
Oh, don't be so sure. You've done well for yourself since then, Sonny. Clearly Scully was grateful for your loyalty.
To a point. I mean, when this thing with your sister, Joe Jr.
You mean her murder?
Up until then, I considered Scully a mentor. After that, I wanted to go independent. So I worked myself in a position where he would give me his blessings. And I left. And I came here and I started running the club.
What happened to Joe Jr.?
He's an embarrassment, but he is Scully's son, so Scully called in some favors, so Joe Jr. would drop out of sight somewhere where he would be protected, wouldn't call attention to himself, and wouldn't cause any more problems for his father.
Where?
Scully had some people down south who owed him favors.
Down south?
Yeah.
Is that anywhere below the Mason-Dixon line, or can you be a little more specific?
I don't know. Because I was always talking to this guy from New Orleans, and but that was the last time I heard him mention anything about Joe Jr., but they were talking about a wire transfer to the fleur-de-lis.
You have any idea how many fleur-de-lis there are in New Orleans?
You know, it can mean something or it doesn't mean something. But that's the last time I heard him say anything about Joe Jr.
You know I'm gonna check this out.
Yeah, you do what you gotta do. Sorry about your sister, I really am. She was a nice girl, and I wish she would have gone another way. For all of us.
Hey, Sonny. Got your message.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, of course. How's Kate doing?
Well, you know, she's been working with Dr. Keenan trying to figure out what caused the personality split. And yesterday she remembered something.
What was it?
Not what, who. That's why I want to talk to you.
Kate was raped?
It all began when I started working for Joe Scully. You know, I was groomed to be a major player in the organization, and Joe Jr., his son, it didn't sit well with him because he hated the fact that his father trusted me more than him. So he took his anger out on Kate.
Where is that son of a bitch right now?
You know what? I don't know. I mean, his father sent him underground years ago after this incident in Atlantic City.
In Atlantic City?
Joe Jr. ran a club for his father. He got in a little bit of a hassle with a stripper there, and he killed her.
Is it McBain's sister?
Scully knew that his son wouldn't survive in prison, so he asked me to keep quiet and let the police think that I did it. So they arraigned me in court in front of a judge who owed Scully a favor. They didn't have any evidence, so they let me go. That was the end of that story.
It's not the end of it. Not from McBain. He thinks that you're responsible for killing his sister.
I told McBain the whole story, what happened. I said, you know what? Joe Jr. shot your sister and ran away. I was kneeling by her body, trying to help her.
Did he believe you?
No, he didn't believe me. But I don't have proof of the actual killing. But there are records that show that Joe Scully was running the club, and he vanished after the girl died.
Yeah, I think that McBain's actually following up on your story. Sam said he left Port Charles.
I want you to find Joe Jr. and bring him to me.
You think that's a good idea?
I'm gonna take care of that bastard the way you took care of Franco. The thought of Joe Jr. laying his hand on Kate while she's begging him to stop, and he's forcing himself, and you know he hurt her to get back at me. You know what that feels like, right?
Killing Franco didn't fix everything.
I should let Joe Jr. get away with raping Kate?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying no matter what you do to him, it's not gonna change.
It kills me that I wasn't there when Kate needed me.
All you can do is be with her right now.
Joe Jr. got her sick. He caused the DID, and now she's got to live with it the rest of her life. I'm going to help her with that. But that animal, he has to pay.
Okay. I'm gonna make some calls, see if I can get a lead on where he's been all these years.
I told McBain, I said, you know, after Joe Jr. disappeared, Scully was taking calls from an associate in New Orleans, and I overheard him talking about a wire transfer to the Fleur de Lis.
What is that? Is that a restaurant or a club? What is
I didn't want to know anything until, you know, I had to. But after Atlantic City, I don't think Scully's going to let his son run a club. I don't even think or even know if Joe Jr. is connected anyway, but it's the only lead we have.
I'll look into it.